It's been a busy week in Strongman, and World's Strongest Man have been throwing out the athlete announcements for this year's contest. So let's have a look at who's been announced so far, and we want to know who you guys think should fill those last few spots. So World's Strongest Man have really been throwing out the announcements. Within one day, I think they did like 20 odd announcements.
Yeah, they did. I think they caught us all off guard. There was no pre-warning or anything. Well, not that I saw. It was just, whoa. But,
What's going on? I know you were excited.
I was refreshing. I was texting people. People were texting me. It was very exciting.
It was. And I've got to say, like, I'm saying this a lot recently, but I'm impressed. This is a solid lineup of athletes. There seems to be no given selections. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes certain athletes have got to World's Strongest Man before based off reputation or just being a familiar face.
Haven't competed at all in between competitions. Yeah, we've seen that forever really at World's Strongest Man. But yeah, looking at the names coming through this year, like I can think of justifications for absolutely everyone.
What I'm impressed with is every single athlete within the last year or so has performed exceptionally well in a competition. And that's what you need. You need the best athletes competing at the biggest competition.
So let's go through them in the order that they've been announced so far, starting of course with the returning champion, the now two-time champion, Tom Stoltman, coming back for that third title. Absolutely no surprise to see Tom return. Good to see Tom return. I don't like it when athletes leave straight after winning. I want to know, how does it end?
Well, someone as young as Tom can't be retiring. He wants to go down with a legacy. He wants to be a multiple World's Strongest Man winner, a multiple title winner.
And what will be really interesting for Tom, obviously he's going for the 3 in a row, and only 2 athletes have managed that so far. Bill Kazmaier and Magnus Ver Magnusson.
Yeah, he puts himself into a unique number of athletes if he can be a 3-time back-to-back winner. Athlete number 2 is Pavlo Nikolayevich, the 2020 Ukraine Strongest Man, just narrowly missing out on the final last year. An amazing athlete and great to see him back at World's Strongest Man.
Next up, Evan Singleton, the T-Rex returns. Obviously, he podiumed at last year's Strongman Classic by Giants Live. And Evan has a real score to settle now at Worlds because 3 times in a row, something has gone wrong for Evan and he has not made it out of the group stages, despite how good we have seen him be in one-day shows.
And he is talking a big game with his training videos right now. I mean, he's looking strong. I just hope he can get to World's Strongest Man and perform as we all know he can. Athlete number 4 is the Moose, Mitch Hooper from Canada. A sensational debut year last year. Mitch is a genuine contender for this year's title.
And isn't it crazy when he was announced last year, it was like Mitch who for a lot of people. And now this year he's going in as one of the absolute favourites. And another favourite for this year, Trey Mitchell. Obviously, he won the Shore Classic again last year and he placed 2nd at the Rogue Invitational. Trey is an absolute powerhouse and he's a threat at any competition.
Hot off his Britain's Strongest Man win, Adam Bishop is the next athlete. It was so good to see him back in great shape at Britain's Strongest Man. If he can bring that form into Worlds, can he make it into another final?
Next up is Canada's Maxine Boudreau. Obviously, Maxine placed 3rd at World's Strongest Man 2021. And with the right set of events, I know we say it, we joke, but he is a really dangerous athlete, isn't he?
Seems to bring his best to Worlds as well. Some of his best performances have been at World's Strongest Man. So, Ivar Smokes is our next athlete. And although he didn't do well at World's Strongest Man last year, he's been in incredible form in his last few competitions. I want to see Ivar's at his best at this year's competition.
Next up is Kevin Ferris, who placed 3rd at the Giants Live World Tour Finals last year. Now, Kevin, he's been in the final before, but he's had such disappointment in the stone off in particular a few times now. So it would be great to see Kevin back in the final.
7th place, I believe, is his best finish at Worlds. He's someone we always talk about as the small guy, but he's got so much power. And I'll tell you what, he's getting a little bit bigger as well. Another smaller athlete that always does well at World's Strongest Man, Athor Ingolson Melsted. Not an athlete that gets talked about at many competitions, but when it comes to the big show, he's performed well, made the final 2 times.
Now, I know a lot of Strongman fans rejoiced when this one was announced. Paul Smith has been invited to World's Strongest Man. This is his first ever invitation. He has competed there once, but he was there as a reserve and he got a call up literally 5 minutes before they went out to compete. So this year, Paul gets to prep and...
Do you know what's great about Paul? He's just one of those guys that's just been working away. He's competed, he's kept knocking on the door. He's not hidden away from competitions and kind of relied on one good performance. He's gone away, goes back, does smaller shows, keeps competing. He's won UK Strongest Man, he's won England Strongest Man, he's done lots of shows and he's got this chance. He keeps improving. So happy to see Paul get his call up. And I know someone that Auntie Liz will be happy to see in there is Ronald Hauler. Now we believe Ronald is going to break a record by having the longest distance or longest time frame between his first World's Strongest Man appearance and his second World's Strongest Man appearance. I believe it was 2011 was the last time we saw Ronald at World's Strongest Man.
12 years.
Congratulations to Ronald. If that isn't a record, please let me know. But I just can't imagine anyone beating it.
No. No one would want to beat it.
No one is old enough or good enough to beat that record. Two things about Ronald. He's old, but he's still good.
Next up is Bobby Thompson, the American Nightmare. He missed out on the final last year. We know he was devastated. He found himself in a stone off with Brian Shaw. But can he make it back into the finals this year, Lazo?
He definitely can. And another man that we both believe can make the finals, Mateuskovski. I am very, very excited to see this man back. A lot of people were saying in my last video, I was a bit harsh, saying he's not proven himself in the last 17 months. Well, he's got the Arnolds coming up and I'm sure he will prove himself there. And if you know me, you know that I love this guy. He's an incredible strongman and I'm just praying, keeping my fingers crossed that he gets to World's Strongest Man feeling in great shape.
Next up is Gaff Bilton, the Welsh bull. Now this is going to be his fourth World's Strongest Man appearance, and Gaff, he was almost like a circumstance of COVID. He's one of those who was brought in maybe a little bit before he was ready, but he has been working so hard and we have seen massive improvements in Gaff's performances. Obviously recently he was second place on the Britain's Strongest Man podium, which has guaranteed his entry this year.
Can he make that first final? I believe he can.
I think so too.
Next athlete is going to be potentially a new athlete to a lot of viewers, but Spencer Remick is someone who has worked so hard to get this opportunity. He won OSG 2022. In 2021, he was second at OSG, so he got his invite to a Giants Live. A lot of athletes would have kind of rested on their laurels there. Spencer didn't take it as a given. He went away, went back to OSG, won it, and now he's finally got his invite to World's Strongest Man. Congratulations, Spencer. So happy for you and can't wait to see how you do.
Next up, Eddie Williams is returning to World's Strongest Man, representing Australia. We saw him a couple of times last year doing Giants Live shows, and now he's got the big call-up, Lazo. Do you think this would be a first final for him if he could make it out of the group stages?
Yeah, he's shown great potential on certain events, and he just seems to be making good progress. He's not managed to put together that huge performance yet, but certain individual events he's really shone on. So if he can keep improving, it could be a real problem for a lot of athletes. And talking of problems for a lot of athletes, we've got Pavlo Nikolayevich. I am very excited to see this guy.
Yeah.
He won in Cardiff last year at the Giants Live there. He is an absolute behemoth of a man. Incredible deadlift. I was going to say incredible thickness, to be honest, in terms of musculature. He's just got like such thick slabs of muscle all over him. But he moves fast. He's improving all the time. He's young. The Ukrainian athletes are kind of coming to dominate.
Oh my goodness, they're bringing their A game, aren't they? Next up then, Constantine Genesis is returning to the World's Strongest Man. Now Constantine has always been so good at Worlds. Last year was actually the first year he didn't make the final, but to be fair to him, he found himself in a group with Brian Shaw, Mitch Hooper, Bobby Thompson. It was a rough old group, that one.
It was a tough group, but Janash has always done well at Worlds, barring last year's performance. Obviously, he was fourth in his first World's Strongest Man. Can he get back to that type of shape? Our next athlete is Graham Hicks, former Britain's Strongest Man, an absolute powerhouse. He's just excited to be competing again. It's good to see Hicksy doing regular competitions. I think this is what he needs. He's got Europe's Strongest Man before this, and hopefully he comes into World's Strongest Man ready.
Next up is Luke Stoltman. Now, Luke placed 7th, I think for the 3rd time last year. Obviously going to want to improve on that result, and he's not been competing that much. We're going to see him at the Arnold's in a couple of weeks' time, and then I'm sure World's Strongest Man is going to be a huge focus for him this year.
Saw a training video of him the other day on the log, and he's looking brutal on that. If he's got the A game with everything else, you know, he's a World's Strongest Man finalist now multiple times. Can he climb up from that 7th place? Another invite from competing in OSG. Athletes, if you want to get to World's Strongest Man, that's your opportunity. Go to OSG, prove that you're good enough. Matthew Ragg from New Zealand came 3rd at OSG, and now he's got his call up. Looking forward to seeing what he can do at World's Strongest Man. We were super impressed watching him in Florida late last year.
Next up is Gabrielle. Now, he made his first final at World's Strongest Man last year, and he was 2nd at last year's Canada's Strongest Man. So 3 very good Canadian athletes going this year without JF Caron.
Yeah, the Canadians are strong. I know so many people are excited about this athlete, Brian Shaw, coming back for his final World's Strongest Man appearance. The 4-time champion. Can he make it a 5th time on his final attempt? He's looking really good in training, looks focused, he's got tremendous experience. We all know he's a great strongman. Is that motivation there to become a 5-time champion and keep these younger guys down?
And finally, we have Jaco Jacobinko from South Africa.
You love saying that name.
I do like it. Jaco placed 2nd at OSG last year, so like what Lars already said, it's, you know, it's a legitimate pathway into World's Strongest Man, and guys need to be doing OSG, Amateur Arnold's, anything they can get their hands on if they want to go to Worlds.
And finally, although World's Strongest Man haven't officially announced, we do know that Alexi Novakov is training very hard for World's Strongest Man and will have been invited. Just maybe hasn't got round to replying to that invite just yet. Right now, I feel we have the strongest depth of talent we've ever seen in the sport. We've had incredible times with incredible champions. You know, the Zadrunas and Brian era was incredible. The Mariusz Pudzianowskis, the Derek Poundstones. We've seen some incredible strongmen over the years. But when you look at the whole roster of athletes, you do not see a weak athlete anymore.
No.
You know, you're no longer... We're going to have a lot of fun in the weeks trying to put groups together, discussions. I'm sure you guys will have fun with us. And yeah, what a nightmare for people that do end up putting these groups together, because you just look at the names and you think, damn, I don't want him in my group. I don't want him in my group.
There will be no easy groups at World's Strongest Man this year.
Certainly not. But that's the way it should be. We want the 30 best competing at World's Strongest Man. It looks like we are moving closer and closer to that. So kudos to World's Strongest Man. We are seeing improvements every single year. I'm mega impressed with this lineup of athletes. Hopefully those last 4 that get put in
won't make us eat our words.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for you guys that watch the channel regularly, you know I had a few things to say about some of the athletes last year. I'm looking at this and I'm very, very impressed. So that leaves 4 spots, Auntie Liz. What we want to know is who you guys think should fill those 4 spots. There are many, many factors that go into these things. Visas become an issue, all sorts of other issues go on. But there are 4 spots that we know are left for this year's World's Strongest Man. Get your comments in down below, guys. Who do you think should fill those last 4 spots? And what do you think of this lineup?
So as always, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we will be back with more Strongman news soon.